Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips in Hull. I'm your host, Nathaniel, as we celebrate Hull City surviving on the final day, a 1-1 draw away at Portsmouth, thanks to a Matt Crooks goal, and a capitulation from Luton, not Preston, away at West Brom was just enough to keep us up on goal difference. So we've actually finished 7th and 21st. So we've been the best you can be without having a chance of promoted, and the worst you can be. Well, sorry, what? What about 24th? Huh?
Home form.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, in the home form, 7th away, 24th at home, but last year 7th, and then this year 21st. So we've had the two extreme seasons, really. I'm joined, as we were last week, although much happier than we were last week, by Joe, Christian, Adi, and Ant. Generally, though there have been some rumours circulating, it's never a dull day supporting Hull City. How are we doing after a great result yesterday?
That drive home back from Portsmouth was so nice, knowing that we weren't depressed. We had a nice walk back to the hotel. The Pompey fans were lovely. They were saying that congratulations, guys, we'll see you next season. A load of them who I was speaking to before the game wanted us to stay up. Apart from these two bald fellas who gave me and my dad a bit of mouth as we were walking back through the fan zone, and they shouted, and I will quote here, Will's going to have to put an E on this very early. You're fucking shite. And my dad just replied, well, yeah, so are you. See you next year.
Yeah. Well, we weren't that far off Portsmouth in the final sort of point positions. We were 2 points off them at some point in the day. But it is 21st. I mean, Ada, you were saying it has been a terrible season, but it could have been a little bit worse, couldn't it?
Only very slightly, Nathaniel. It was... I mean, I'd like to have won yesterday, if I'm honest, because I think that then gives you that, when you feel as though you actually deserve to be in the league. And with a point, I was questioning, do we actually deserve to still be in the Championship for the coming season? We obviously do because we're there, but, I wasn't happy with a point. I'll be honest. I wanted more, and I wanted more from the team. We did have some chances, didn't we? To score. I think Geldhart had a really good couple of chances that he could have put it away. And we was just talking off air, weren't we, about how we think that Geldhart could be rated at 5 million from Leeds in the summer transfer windows. And I said off air, I won't give 5 million on the performance of him not scoring them goals, because ultimately, if you're paying 5 million, we need somebody who can score us goals, because let's face it, I think I looked at the end of the season thing, and is it Pedro's our top scorer with 6?
Yes.
Yep.
How ridiculous is that?
Lowest top scorer for Hull City in 20 years or so outside of the Premier League.
That goes to show how poor the season's been. So, was I happy yesterday? Slightly, but, I'm not overwhelmed by it. And that, people will probably shout at me, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
That away
I might shout at you.
If you were in that
you can
away
shout at me.
you'd be buzzing. Yeah.
No, listen. The away support looked really good, Joe. And at the end of the game, it looked really good as well. And I did envy you all going down there, and I wish I'd have got a ticket. I really do. And my stupid.
You wouldn't have envied the drive, mate. That was long.
No, definitely not. And that's what I was thinking about when I didn't get the ticket. But when you see you all down there having the fun, I wish I had had the ticket. Would I have been happier than I am today? Possibly.
It's up there for the best away end I have ever been in. Not sort of in terms of like the actual infrastructure of the stadium, although the stadium was lovely. As you walk through the turnstiles at the bottom, you go up some steps, and all the concourse, it's sort of on a balcony. So in the sort of weather we had, it was lovely. But I can imagine if it's raining or it's freezing cold, you're a bit, and you go into Fratton Park, you're a little bit miffed. Tuesday night, it's probably not the best place to have your concourse, but in that weather, it was fantastic. And then, that away end was something else. And everyone knew what was happening, including the manager. He said he was keeping an eye on the score. On the scores elsewhere.
That's quite rare, isn't it? Normally managers say, we'll just focus on our own job. But I thought, we have a comment in here from Lenny saying it was risky defending from the moment we scored. But I think it's reasonable. For example, if you're not chasing the win. If you chase a win, you might concede a counter attack. Yeah, so it's probably clever for them to not go for it.
I don't think we did defend from the moment we scored. I thought we went on
first
trying
half
to
we
score
were good.
We just defended from when they scored, which is natural because they got a little bit tetchy because they thought, yeah, one more goal and we're relegated. So I don't know. I actually rated the subs he made. We've been critical of the subs he made before. I think he made the right changes.
Well, he made them, didn't he?
Making like a 5-4-1 was very, very wise because Pompey they had their tails up after they scored that first goal and were really causing us problems with that Sadie against Maka on the left. So yeah, I think the shoring up was a good move because yes, we were fully aware obviously that Luton were getting absolutely hammered, so he felt less inclined to need to go and win because he knew that we could just see this out and be fine. Risky, like you say, because if you concede one set piece, then it's a goner. But I think the sub made us a lot more solid, and we didn't really look in any danger, I don't think, for the rest of the game. So
ended up being close, that Luton game, though, didn't it? At 5-3.
Yeah, well, I couldn't see him. Maybe they won't score another two, I don't think. But
Luton must be gutted, though. You're scoring 3 goals in the game on the final day, and you still don't stay up.
People are sending me messages. I didn't give out the number tonight because I'm not on the radio, but Cookie sent me a message and he said it's the most nervous he's been as a City fan since the playoff final on 2008.
I was actually more nervous about the Derby game than I was this one.
Yeah.
I think I felt more resigned to going down in this game. It was just
I think I agree with you, Ant, to be honest. I agree.
Yeah.
We have a comment here from Bristol City fan Annie saying, "Congrats on Survivor, guys." Well, no thanks to you lot. Didn't beat Preston.
Yeah, no.
West Brom.
Very disappointing.
I've been saying every time Bristol have played one of our opponents this year, they've done a really great job and they've beaten them. But the final day, they botched it. So thank you, West Brom, though. We'll look out
Agent
for them.
Boaz.
Thank you. Agent Boaz, Michael. Yeah. Christian, we've not heard from you just yet. What were your thoughts during the Portsmouth game? I mean, myself, when Sadie scored, I thought it was all over.
Yeah. I think. Look, let me start with saying, first of all, how proud I am of the away fans, because even I could feel the energy watching it, sat on my sofa with my nice drink, and I could feel absolutely electricity going through it, and it's all credit deserved as well. Even on the social media afterwards, that everyone's the Pompey fans are even praising the fans that went away to the game because you were absolutely brilliant, well done. You were behind the lads all the way through the game, which was amazing. So look, thank you for everyone that went to that away game. It was obviously a long journey. But it made me proud as a whole City fan to actually see and hear you all there. So first of all, thank you from me with that one. The game itself, though, the first 20 minutes, wow, completely different Hull City team. If I'm being honest with you, the attacking side of it, the energy, we looked like a team that wanted to stay up and was going to stay up. And when the goal went in from Crooks from the Puerta's corner, who grafted non-stop as well. Puerta, I'm saying that now, he grafted for everything, and
superbly well.
He was superb in my eyes for most of the game, which was just lovely. It was I wasn't concerned, but I will disagree with a little bit with Ant, where when we did score the goal, the mentality completely changed to crap. We've got this goal. We've done it. Let's not lose it. And the kind of the way that we were playing, really, I knew a goal was going to come. I felt it. I felt a goal was going to come in from Pompey because of just how we completely changed the mentality once we went up.
10 minutes into the second half, as per usual. Yeah. The one thing, though, that I will say again with what Ant said was the substitutions and the changes. Bang on. Absolutely bang on. Well done, Ruben. Finally. Where I was a lot more confident when I saw these substitutions coming out. I felt a lot more confident. And even when we went to full park the bus, 5 at the back, I actually felt okay when we went 5 at the back. I actually felt secure. We actually looked okay. Don't get me wrong, there wasn't an attacking threat per se, but I didn't feel anything was gonna
get past us in the five at the back, which I was kind of concerned about, because usually when you play that deep and that parking of the bus, you're expecting your goal to be peppered, but we didn't really allow it. So it was a bit of a refreshing thing. I think my concern is still when we get that 1-goal lead, where we just sat off too much. I know you've got to protect the lead, but I think you could have ended the game a lot more securely if you were 2 up.
Yeah, but that comes down to Gellart, I think, in the first half. Had 2
that shot,
and take 3 touches more than he needs to do when he could have just shot. Put the game to bed. So
in the second as well, right?
Right.
When he did the same thing, and
he did the same thing. Yeah, it wasn't.
He just should shoot.
And it bounced to Zhao, and Zhao's got his player on the floor in front of him, and he's just got no choice but to try and smack it at the goal.
Because that
falls over and blocks it.
That's all things that we're normally critical of, like the team selection, the system, the substitutions, the effort of the players, everything that we usually say is off this season. I thought was spot on in that game. I thought every single player fought for everything on that pitch. I don't think there was one player you could say didn't try or didn't look like they were putting effort in. I thought the team selection was brave. I thought it was a team selection that suggested that he wanted to go and win the game. He put championship experience in there with Crooksy. He could have very easily just put Alzate back in there, for example. But he didn't. He went for Crooks, a bit of height, a bit of physicality. We've always been saying we're crap at set pieces. We stay up because of a set piece. Could you write it? It's just everything just seemed to actually come into one game. And like you say, we're better finishing at the end, which has been our Achilles heel all season. You know, we'd put that game to bed before Portsmouth had even scored. They got the goal because they identified that Maka was a weakness down the left-hand side. Brought Sadie on as a half-time sub, said run at him, which he did, and scored from it. But then we showed up after it. We reacted to that change and saw it out. So, yeah, I think the game management was really, really well from Ruben. I thought the approach was positive, and I thought the team really did themselves proud. And I think that they really rewarded the fans that went down there and followed them in numbers. And we probably ended up deserving to stay up just on that performance alone, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it is gutting, isn't it, that it wasn't a win, and to the point of, well, I'm going to say what Max said. He doesn't really care how we stayed up. I mean, it is always nice to stay up on a win and not depend on another team like West Brom had to do against Luton for ourselves. But it's the effort, wasn't it, that kind of made it not as painful.
Yeah, we were the better team, weren't we?
Yeah, we were the better team. We were. I mean, but the only thing is down to what we've had all season is just that open play finishing, which is, always going to be a bit of an issue. I say it is going to be because we finished the season. So, hey, we're a championship club again. And now let's look forward
for next season.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not bring that trait over to next season. Actually, there's a lot of traits I think we'll discuss in this show of that we don't want to bring over to next season, and some of the new ones that we would like to see. And there's a lot of things that we can discuss as well, isn't there? So
we've got to say thank God this season's over with, haven't we?
Yeah. It's been miserable. Since we beat Southampton last year, and of course the Euros was pretty miserable as well, to be honest, the way we played. Supporting City, following football in general, I've had a right insufferable time. So I'm glad it's over. We can look forward to nothing happening. No tournament. Of course, we'll have the women's football. They're actually good. So it'd be nice.
Well, you say nothing happening, Nathaniel. There is, of course, the usual Adjun mania.
Adjun being Adjun.
Adjun mania. Oh God.
Thing is, right. We might as well cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Ruben Sayers, I think, has done a fantastic job since he's come in. He's taken a team that hadn't won in 11 to 12th in the form table with a goal difference of 0, and he did what the job was and stayed up. Now, the only reason I think that Adjun is even considering this is because he's insane, basically. So he thinks that summer window, we discussed it last week, and you brought it up last week. He thought that summer window was an 8 out of 10. So I think he'd have brought Ruben Sayers in thinking that summer window was absolutely fantastic, as he thought it was. Right, with all those players, he'll get us flying up this division. And that's obviously just not how it works. And even though we've got brains around the owner now, in Jared Dublin, in Martin Hodge, who's coming in as a new head of recruitment.
Yeah.
Terry Pardo has left, if you look at his LinkedIn, I think. Brains can be a dangerous thing to have around Adrian, because ultimately he does still call the shots. And as someone said to me in Twitter DMs earlier, it just can cause irrational decisions, to be made sooner and quicker if he knows that the brains behind the operation might not necessarily agree with it. So I don't think sacking Ruben Sayers, he's not like worked miracles or anything.
He's done what he came to do. He kept us up.
He's done better than Liam Rosenior did in his first season here, in terms of how he pulled us up the league. I think if you give him a pre-season, and I think that if Adrian pulls out the style of play argument, that's going to be massively corrupted by the fact that we've had to play a certain way to stay up, I think. So you can't go out and play the most expressive, sort of elaborate football in the world if you're in a relegation battle. I think Ruben Sayers played a way to keep us safe.
Yep, I agree with that.
With a proper pre-season, with Mohamed Baloumi and Liam Miller back fit, with a little bit of work done on the squad to fine-tune what he's worked with here.
A left back would be nice.
A left back, would be nice. Or two, because I don't think he's particularly fond of Matty Jacob, to be honest with you, based on the team selection in recent weeks. And so I think Adrian would be silly to sack Ruben Sayers. And I think the bigger problem, aside from stability, etc., is how would this look to managers coming in?
When Watford, basically.
Yeah, it would be Watford. When Liam Rosenior got sacked, we had the veneer of a club that was still going places and an owner who knew what he was doing. As soon as Tim Walter came in, that got washed away. Ruben is restoring that credibility as a club in spite of the owner. And what message it would send to managers who know the English game, know the Championship, would be, we're not going to touch this with a 6-foot barge pole then, because, why should I? If I can do a good job, do what I'm paid to do, and still be sacked at the end of it with 2 years left on my contract. Let's not forget he gave Liam Rosenior a new contract in the December before he got sacked. So what we'd end up with is Tim Walter Mark II, Shota Arveladze Mark III, if you want to count Tim Walter as Shota Mark II.
Yeah.
As in a foreign manager will come in from abroad with an idea that Adrian sold on, and it not being tried and tested for the Championship at all. So I personally don't think Ruben Sayers will go. I hope it isn't the case. And as Danny says in chat here, I think there are enough rational minds, Dublin, in the boardroom.
Well, yeah.
And Dublin is a sporting director.
Yeah, but my only counter to that is what have we seen from Adrian's reign so far that suggests that he would listen to anybody else?
Listen to reference.
That's why I'm laughing that hard. Yeah, no.
He has in the background. Adrian will do what Adrian wants to do.
Well,
We're using logic, aren't we? That's the problem. He doesn't use logic.
I'm going to be on my own, aren't I?
Yeah, I was going to throw it to you, AD. I think you disagree with Joe, don't you?
I would sack him.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I would definitely. Well, listen, all four of you can say I'm wrong, and all the fan base. I've had a few people support me, to be fair, but I would sack him, and my reasons for it is, and whether this would happen next season or not, I don't know. But he, his goal scored is terrible. Some of his decisions on substitutions have been awful. Playing players out of position when you've got players that could play in the position. Yes, I'm talking about like Harry Vaughan could come in on the wing and he's an actual winger, and you're playing people out of position is a problem as well. And I listened to his 2 interviews, not yesterday's interview, but the 2 interviews before that. And I listened to both of those, and I thought, he's not a man that would inspire me in the dressing room when you're really trying to fight for something.
Well,
and
we were competitive, though, weren't we, against Derby?
We were competitive, and you can say, Chris, it's okay, and I'm here to be shot at. That's why I'm here tonight. I'm quite happy for you to all shoot at me, but he's not been good enough this season, and it proves it because we only stayed up by goal difference yesterday.
He's not been good enough since the international break. To say he wasn't good enough beforehand, I don't agree with.
Since the international break,
I can say that, but the international break's the big thing, isn't it? You've come in, you've had 7 games after the international break. He's had 3 games to keep us in the division without the worry of yesterday, and he didn't do it. Was down to the last game. Every one of us have said on the podcast, whether it been on Wednesday or on the Sunday episode, we didn't want to get to the last game having to need something to stay in the division.
And we still got there.
We still got there.
That was we've thinking.
We've brought Adi on for the rage bait and clips.
he's trying to get me. He's trying to get me biting. He's trying to get me biting. That's what it
You're
is.
going to be all over the internet.
I know. He's waiting for Wednesday.
The only counter I'd have to it is one. We need some. We can't. All season we've been complaining that Adrian's very rash, that we've got no stability as a club, that we're sick of seeing upheavals. Getting rid of Sayers this summer means another start again from point zero. Means another manager has to come in and bring in loads more new players because he needs to do his style of play and probably won't rate the ones that he's got. And when you actually take the full season into perspective, if we'd have had Sayers from the start, we'd be nowhere near the bottom 3. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So the problem we had was Volta was kept for too long, too much damage was done. Sayers, I do think, can motivate a dressing room because if you say how flawed the confidence was of the team after Volta, he did get us picking up results quite quickly afterwards. We were phenomenal before the international break. We came back a different team. I don't know what happened.
I wouldn't have said phenomenal, man. Come on.
We lost two.
Have you been to the home games? Have you been to the same home games as me?
The away games count, though, don't they? The away games count.
They maybe do, but look, we're all paying money to go see a home game. More of us are paying money to go see a home game than that goes to see an away game. And let me tell you, at home this season, I don't know how many wins I've seen, but it is not many. I've just got to read out because Cookie said I won't read it out because I'm saying that we've got to sack Sayers. So he says that Sayers needs to stay. We need stability and a bit of consistency for the fans and players in particular, and give him support early. So I have read your message out, Cookie, and it doesn't make a difference to me. I would still sack him. I might be. I'm not a Jones yes man. I think that, personally, I think we need a change at the top as well. But we don't have anybody who could afford to take on that debt. I don't think.
I think it's worth noting as well that Reading fans said when we first appointed him, you've got to give him time. When he first comes in, the performances aren't great. It takes a while to get going. But once he gets the set of players in that he needs to play the way that he plays, they play some phenomenal stuff. And he couldn't make a signing at Reading for 3 years, and he had him in the top 6. And that's incorporated.
Listen, if he stays, which from yesterday's comments from Mike White, I don't think he's going to. We all know how this works. I don't think he's going to stay. But if he does stay, listen, I hope that he absolutely proves me wrong. He gets us in the top half of the table next season and he plays some really good football. I'm going to the MKM Stadium and I'm going to watch and enjoy every game. And I want him to prove me wrong. I really do. Don't get me wrong. And this is not a personal vendetta. It's my personal opinion. I spoke to Paul Wright, who comes on the Wednesday night podcast today, and he totally disagrees with me. He wouldn't sack Sayers. Yeah. So it's just me. And listen, I'm in a very small minority. There's a few people that supported me on Twitter yesterday when I put it, and I know I'm in a small minority, but I have not seen enough good games at the MKM Stadium to say I want him to be the manager next season.
But
now, listen, the problem is we don't know who he's going to sign, do we? That's the thing. And if we're going to sign somebody, I would only want somebody with proven championship experience. And I know that's not a John style. So listen, before anybody shoots me down and says, who's he going to sign? Listen, I know that. I'm just frustrated because I've watched a load of absolute tosh this season at the MKM Stadium.
But I also say, like, the problem is the set of players we've got. There isn't really that much different we can play. There's no goal scorers.
But why not try any more youth then, Ant? Because that's Matt. You know, he came in. Everybody says to me he plays the youth players. He hasn't played any.
I think if we've got the gamble, the gamble.
But you've got to take a gamble. This is football, Christian.
It is. But when it's not your team and you don't know, you've got to think you've come in, you've taken over the worst manager, not in just Hull City's history, the history of managers in the entire.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
And then plays kids.
God awful, right? And didn't have a Scooby Doo what he was doing. The mentality, he broke the unbreakable player in Coyle with his mentality because you could see he was absolutely done. You've had to come in, and before you go, right, I'm going to play a load of youth, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you literally have to fix the players' heads to actually get anything. Because remember, the person who I hate to talk about the most wouldn't even talk to the players apart from, no, I don't want that person here. You're going to that, going to the reserves. Oh no, he's that. And talking behind the backs, it did a lot. Now, when Sellers came in, he had the hardest job going of getting the player mentality back to a stage of where they were at least coachable again. And that was stage one. And to just get them to coachable before you can even start actually coaching them for something will take time, especially I know we've had these like international breaks and things like that. You still can't do much with that. You can't. A pre-season at least. And I mean, look, in a way, I'm happy we stayed up. I'm happy we got Ruben when we did. He got a few decent plays and then boom, got injured. And we had to literally revert backwards to when he took over. I mean, what new player did he really have when he came in that was available to him? Because they all got injured from my knowledge, if I'm trying to remember correctly.
Some of the youth team. And people are saying to me, Vaughan's not good enough and this isn't good enough. Until you stick them in that team, you have no idea.
He did try.
Yeah, but then that's a gamble. They did try once, AD. And I'm look, you know me, I'm Harry Vaughan's huge supporter. But when you've got an owner that does the stupidest amount of gambling with a club that we've ever seen,
it does. Listen, really I totally agree with you. You know, the reason that we're in this predicament is because we're 60 million quid in debt and we've got nothing for it. You know, when you look at what players we've got for the 60 million, it's absolutely nothing. And it is a big problem. The owner's a big problem. You know, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that for the last 2 seasons, even under Liam Rossini, and I know we've got a seventh place finish, it was still not great to watch at the MKM Stadium. Football has not been good enough to watch at that stadium for such a long time. Yeah. And that is my frustration.
Well, the frustration for us as well, like obviously for all of us, every fan, including yourself, Eddie, is the fact of the team that we have now is not a good enough championship club. And
but Ruben, it's cost us 60 million quid.
Yeah, but that's not Ruben's fault. That's
not saying it is. No, not saying it is. No.
Exactly. But that's what I'm trying to put across is Ruben's obviously had to go with a game plan of just keeping us in the league and try and drill the same people over and over again to try and get something out of us to just at least stay in it. Yes, I do feel we were let down by the players in certain games, which I can't fully blame Ruben for. And sometimes, I mean, look, out of all the shows, you know me, guys, I've asked for that 3 at the back, 2 up top, just give it a go before the last game of the season where it shouldn't have got to. I've said it over and over and over again. But I understand why Ruben stuck to his guns, because it's hard to change something that late on within the season to get an effective result out of it. And you do need that time. And this gap, now we're in the championship, and this gap, the stability is going to be now there with a manager. If he stays for God. Stability is the main word. And money. We can't afford it. We can't afford to get another one. No.
Go on, Bentos.
Eddie, do you think that if we'd have had all of the injured players available, that we'd still be in the situation and having this discussion?
It's hard to say that, Anthony. It's really hard to say. You know, listen, every team has injuries. It's not just our team that has injuries. And I know we've had 3 bad injuries, but every team has injuries. If you've spent 60 million quid on a team, You're saying that you've got a good enough team and a good enough backup there to be able to compete.
We haven't had all 60 million.
No, listen,
Ruben.
Nathaniel. You said earlier. I think it was you that said off air because I shook my head because I couldn't believe it. You said that we paid £5 million for Kamara.
Yeah,
£5 million, and he was our backup winger. He's not been good enough to be our backup winner, but we're saying that we've got them. He's a £5 million player, right? And he can't play. He wouldn't start.
He's improved under Ruben.
Yeah, but
which is not saying anything, but he did.
But he's still not good, is he? You know, when you look at it, he gets pushed off the ball too easily. He don't put crosses in when he should do. You know, it's not been good enough for him. But he's £5 million.
Yeah, but my point was more going towards. My point was going more towards. Sayers played some really good stuff at Reading, and it's because he had the players to do so. Whereas he's come here, he's been given a job to keep us in the division. He's looked at his team and gone, "Who's scoring my goals?" And if I was there, being like an ambassador, showing him around and saying, "Right, he's our main goal scorer," he'd be like, "Bloody hell." Because we've got no goals in this team. So then, you know, if we had Miller and Ballumi, we'd probably be able to play a bit more expansively and create some more stuff. Then in January, we tried to solve that problem. We thought Joseph might be an answer. Admittedly, an expensive gamble again. But then you go and get Louis Barry, who is literally one of the hottest prospects in the entire country, who we thought would probably score enough goals to get us out of the mess. And then he gets injured as well. So he's like all of our creative players. Matazo looked like he was going to be an absolute game changer.
Oh, Matazo,
all these key players that would have. Yeah, Matazo was brilliant.
Player at this club,
yeah,
by a country mile, I think. Elliot Matazo. You
don't.
There's no from Monaco by the time you're 22 and come to the Championship and the side that's in the mess we had it, and not be immediately the best player at the club.
And it's no surprise that when we had Matazo playing and when we had those couple of cameo appearances from Barry, we were playing some good stuff at that time. We were getting results because we had players who could create stuff and score goals. Like the thing is with Sayers is if you get the form table up from when we hired him, we're actually 12th since he came in. Yeah. And I think when you take the full perspective and the standard of this team, to get us to that point when we were 24th when he took over, in a team that can't score goals and hasn't got height to score set pieces, so you can't even do what Eustace did at Derby and just focus on scoring them. He's done incredibly well to get us over the line, considering he's got a team that can't score goals. He's just focused on the strength that we've got, which is being solid and hard to beat, and hopes that we've cracked over the line, which we have. Next season, he needs to just plug in the gaps, i.e. left back, which is 100% been the problem for the last 6 months. Yeah. Why we didn't plug that in left back, I have no idea.
Last 2 years,
we can actually have some natural balance in the team, get a decent right back, and get some goal scorers up front. And I don't think there's anything else that needs to change in this team. I'm happy with Egan and Hughes as the centre-back pairing.
There's a core, isn't there?
Yeah, the midfield's absolutely spectacular. Even if we got rid of Alzate, the midfield's fine for me. You've got Palmer, Crooks, Alzate, if he Zambrano, if he comes in, and Slater if he stays. These are all Championship standard players. Then you've got Miller and Ballumi to come back. If we give Pedro another year, maybe loan Besto and Joseph out and get another goal-scoring striker. I don't think this team's far from it. And if Sayers can have a mid-table team...
Listen, Anne, let me stop you there, right? This team is absolutely miles away from it. Absolutely miles away from it.
The defence is very solid.
Yeah, defence is fine.
Defence, apart from left back is our problem, as we said. Yeah, I agree with that. Central defenders were quite good on central defenders, with no problem there. Right back, we're okay. We've got Dram, we've got Coyle. We could cope just about with having those two. We definitely need a new left back though. But the centre, I just can't believe that the players that are injured, the players that's injured, Matazo is a problem. Zambrano, them two you would keep. But then when you're thinking about the ones that are coming in instead of them, Crooks, don't give me that. Crooks has been rubbish.
He's got some key goals. I think I was screaming him to start. He played very well against Portsmouth.
Palmer's been garbage since he came in.
AD, I've got to stop you. I agree with my stepdad who just commented in. We've just stayed up on the final day. All you've done on here is come in and slate Ruben, slate every single player.
That's what I'm on here for.
You want an opinion, Joe, at the very start, I've been meaning to say this for about the last 20 minutes. Joe, you said Ruben's done a fantastic job. I think he's done a good job to a very good job. I think there's reasons, and the performances are what you look at with the manager. I think the injuries you can't avoid, the players he's got to, deal with. Ruben has kept us up.
Avoid, absolutely not. But I don't think any manager has walked into a situation where he's had half the division total for ACLs in a season.
Yeah.
You'd be unlucky as a league to have 3 ACLs in a season, to have 3 as a club. That's just mental. And 2 of them were brought on by Tim Balter and overworking them, yes. But the other one, that's just pure accident. Like, you can't plan for that to happen.
Yeah. And that's the problem, Chris, isn't it? That's the problem. We always sign players that aren't fit. We've signed too many players that come to us that aren't fit.
About
that are
60
banned.
players, 10 of them, 15 of them unfit.
Yeah, and there's no point in signing those players and bringing them in because, he's come to us unfit and then he's not, it's took him so long that he's probably got fit by May. So what's the point? This is what I don't get it.
He scored some goals, though. He did what he needed to do at the very end of the day.
He has done something that other players have failed to do. He has scored some goals for us. But would I think that I can go into the championship season next year with Crooks in my starting 11? Not a chance.
Have managed it.
Not a chance.
With him.
He's not a great player, Crooks, but he's a useful asset to have in that he knows the league.
Offers something.
And he offers...
He's definitely a player you have and keep in your squad, isn't he?
He gives you height, gives you physicality, he's goal threat. He's not going to run about like a madman for 90 minutes, absolutely not. But he's a player who can pop up with the goal and he'll throw himself about for the cause. And I rate that.
I thought he played very well yesterday. I was saying he should start. I said it last week. I'd start Crooks and got the important goals. So I'm very happy with that one.
Crooks has scored more in 6 months than Slater, Alzate, and Puerto have combined.
Yeah.
All season.
Slater's missed compilation this season. It's crazy, honestly. But I'm not going to put that out. I've made the video. I've made the miss of the season video, but I'm not. That's for my own personal enjoyment. I think it's too cruel to,
Well, we're talking about Crooks and January signings. John Egan, by the way.
Oh, incredible!
He just gets it. Like Alfie Jones has had a difficult season. John Egan has come in off the back of not playing much with Burnley, having a difficult injury a few years ago. We're wondering, really, if he could still do it. Boy, can John Egan still do it.
Yeah.
I think at this stage of Hughes' career, he's the perfect partner for him. To have a wise experience head at the side of him like that, it's crucial for his development. There'll be areas of his game that he'll be working on. And I think as good as Jonesy was last season, it's easy to forget that he's actually a midfielder. He's a number 6 as Jonesy that we converted to a centre-back. And I think sometimes it shows. And without Greavesy, Jones has really struggled this season, whereas Egan's coming in being the main guy. And Hughesy's got that sort of experienced head at the side of him who's been there, done that plenty of times in this year. And it'll be so good for it. If those two are a centre-back pairing next season, I'm going to be so confident in our ability to continue to be strong defensively. And if we just saw the full-back positions either side of them, it'll be a mint back four.
You're right. We need
he's
that.
One of those, John Egan, who, we've spoken a lot about, the players don't care, X don't care, Y don't care. John Egan has come in and he's one like Crooks, and who will die for the cause. And
I think Egan's been quite good actually, and you can see that Egan, really did want it, and even after the game, you could see that he was really pleased that we'd stayed up, Joe. So I agree with you. He's come in and he's got a bit of experience, and he's done well since he has come in. There is some players there, but we need quite a bit of change again, don't we? Because of the problem, you don't have these problems and finish where we have. If you've got a good squad, because we have to call it a squad because, as we've said, we've got quite a lot of injuries. But unless you've got a good squad, it's so hard to compete in the championship. The championship's getting harder every season.
It's only because the injuries to the offensive side of the game. The defense has been fine. Our goals conceded column's been okay. If we'd have scored a few more goals, we'd be fine. And that's because we've missed Miller, Balumi, Matazo, and then Barry's came in and he's got injured, and then
It's an out-and-out goal scorer, isn't it? Because, let's face it, Pedro scored 6. We've bought a striker in January. He's not scored a goal.
Yeah, 16 games, no goals. It's not great.
Which is terrible. And this is the problem: is that what do we pay for him?
2.5.
2.5. You've got to spend 10 to 12 million on a striker. I think we'd said this on the podcast last week. Our biggest signing today is still 13 million quid, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're not going to be spending that much.
Yeah. But Birmingham played it in League One for the striker because that's what they needed, and we can. Nathaniel, we spent 5 million on Kamara.
Yeah, but no, we can't. We can't do that. FFP won't allow you when we don't have the money. FFP doesn't allow us in the championship.
If we sold some, we could.
Well, this is it.
We're not being able to spend that much.
We have got obviously players to look at going out over summer, which we don't know about, but that's the future. So let's wait and see on that down the line. We can't speculate anything because, let's be honest, we're all over the place we don't even know if we're going to re-sign certain players, like they've just been mentioned there, because we've got players coming at the end of contracts. We've also got the talk of Sellers. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What's Adjan going to do? We don't know. There was the rumor of Adjan even selling up, but I mean, I don't see it happening. So that's another discussion that we can have. But if we're talking about this season again as a total, where we've been saying, look, we've needed this, we've needed that. Just remember back to pre-season. Look at the players that were playing in those pre-season friendlies. Half of it was the reserves or under 21s.
Giles was left wing, wasn't he?
Giles was left wing at times.
So
you got to think what we were watching. Yeah.
We didn't even have Oscar.
No, we didn't.
Oscar didn't play until after Doncaster.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So
to learn as well. Don't let players go who you can't afford to lose without having replacements lined up. For the love of God.
Absolutely been stupid as that, I think we talked about it, and Nathaniel will be pleased that I bring the name up, but Ryan Longman, letting him go to Wrexham.
He kept us up.
It's a stupid thing, really, because he could have scored more goals from the wing than what we've had out of Kamara and whoever we've played on the left-hand side, whether that's Joseph or, whoever else it may be. We should have kept him. And that's a stupid thing.
Maybe from the left-hand side, but I feel like people... Longman, right? For whenever we've had it,
we've stayed up. We're having a positive content
because this has been all over Twitter for ages. Everyone's been like, "Oh yeah, we let Longman go, we let Doherty go." They were never good enough for where we wanted to be.
I do agree.
They're not championship standard players, and we look back at them and go, "We should have kept them because they run around a lot." No, they would never. Longman's best goal returns throughout an entire season was like 6. And the majority of them were from when he was playing wing back the first 6 months when he was on loan.
In the championship,
it's 6 more than Carl Joseph scored from that position. And let me tell you, you would get far more effort out of Doherty than you've had out of some of these midfielders than we've had in this season.
As much as everyone's slating Nabu Kamara this season, he's got a better goal contribution return in his first full season here, apparently being garbage, the Longman ever did.
Yeah.
And than anyone else in this team. Look, contract
with Pedro now.
I've loved it tonight. It's been great already.
Contracts-wise, we're having this discussion, and there was a comment about Louis Barry. You can't say he'd have changed our season or whatever, but I mean, you can.
We sign Haaland and he gets injured. Oh well, he wouldn't have improved things.
You can't say losing Barry changed our season. No, you can't say it changed our season. But you can also say that he was a young player coming to a new club on loan for the first time, who'd scored goals in the division below and impressed in the 2 divisions below in consecutive seasons. So you get him settled in and anything could happen. And I think
Longman ain't good enough, apparently, and he's just come up from League One to the Championship with Wrexham, and he's not good enough. So you can't say that Louis Barry was going to be good enough because you don't know.
No, right. Louis Barry, this is the thing with them kind of comments. Louis Barry was literally, for 2 full seasons, consistently scoring goals. He had the striker's return from the wing. He was meant to come in and score goals to keep us in the division. So he was one of those players we brought in to try and solve the goal-scoring problem and then didn't really get a chance to because he got injured. So yes, we probably could say his injury did screw us because he was one of the players we brought in to score goals, and they couldn't. And then with the Longman thing, he's gone to a league below. He's hardly lit it alight. He's got a couple of goal contributions. Let's see how he does in the Championship next season. Because I bet you he don't play. I bet you they signed some other wingers because they realise he's nowhere up to.
They've got a lot. They've got money to play with. I think of
he's gone to one of the best teams in the league below, and he's done okay. And he's going to come back up to this division, and I think he'll get found out again. Longman's a decent player. Look, he works hard, but he don't score or create enough.
Can I say a stat? Obviously, different division, but the balancer here is that there's one player compared to all the other ones. Out of all the fit forward players the whole City have had this season that are fit at the moment, so not Malone, Balumi, etc. They've had a combined 18 goals, whereas Barry in League One just by himself 16 goals. So he could well have helped. Different division, of course, but a goal scorer is a goal scorer.
I think Barry finished like the 4th highest scorer in the league below, and he's not played there since December.
If you want to do old competitions, he is by 10 goals our top goal scorer, which is a stupid stat and wrong, but that's something you can look at.
Contract. That's the situation. This is where we are. The ones in red obviously have nothing. So that does include the under-21s players as well, but mainly for the first team, you're looking at these guys, aren't you?
Yeah, Lincoln's definitely one to kind of discuss a bit more detail because I don't know how people feel about Lincoln. Really,
what detail is there to be had? No,
well,
not for the wages. I assume he'd be on.
Probably not for the wages that he's on, but I am also looking. Well, it's a backup.
He never grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, did he? That's the
if he agreed to 10 grand less a week, I'd have him as a backup. Yeah,
and I agree with Ben Toss. I'd send him straight back.
Yeah.
All right. So if it was for me, it was lower wages would have been needed to keep him here. But don't get me wrong, I think he's got that quality. I just don't see him as first team quality, if you get me, as a starter. The next one, obviously, we're all going to discuss. And never fall in love with a lone player, I guess, isn't it? Joe Gellert.
Yeah. It depends on the fee there, doesn't it?
It's the fee that we all know that's going to come. So he's currently valued, this split second, at about 3.5 million.
Joe,
now,
can you zoom
with
in?
Leeds going up and this season that he's just had with ourselves behind him, his stock obviously is going to go up, and it's not going to go up by a little bit when a club goes up that as much as it has. So you're expecting about 5 million. Is Joe Gellert worth 5 million?
Well, firstly, I don't know whether we can afford 5 million on anyone, but no.
How much can we afford then, Nathaniel?
Well, it depends on who we sell, but I think we've spent, is it over 20 million euros, 25 million euros this year? I just don't see us spending anywhere near that.
What's our 3 years figures looking like? Because I thought they were supposed to be getting slightly better now.
Well, we're losing more money than we were the last time it was reported, so I assume they're getting worse, aren't they?
No, because some of the figures come into the new, the Greaves comes into it, Philogene comes into it, so it changes it slightly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
I'm sure that's what it was because they come into this new 3 year. Am I right, Joe? In what I'm saying, I'm all talking rubbish.
FFP's done over a 3 year period. They come into the finances for this season, next season, and the season after. But the thing is, we've spent more money than we probably expected to in January to try and save our skin.
I'm just trying to bring up.
We won't get a lot for Slater. You'd probably get 2 or 3 mil for Alzate, but I don't think we'd get that.
All right, not including loans, as in loan fees and agent fees, but just pure sell and buy.
Of which we are the 4th highest in the division, agent fees.
Yeah. Expenditures 31.2 million, and income was 42.57 million. So we actually made a profit of 11.37, but that does not include agents' fees, which as we just advised, we were like the 4th highest in all the leagues put together, and signing on fees of
And-
certain loans as well.
Probably, Chris. I don't know what you've got in front of you, but day-to-day running of the club as well, of which
And the day-to-day running, isn't included in that as well.
A week.
The ingredients for the food at half time can't be cheap, with the quality we've got this year. So
I don't know. I reckon the food makes a profit.
Oh,
Yeah, I reckon
Yeah,
the food makes a
perhaps,
profit.
yeah.
Especially
and some chips should cost a 10.
It's fair with the marketing, with all the shop this season around, with all the little sales all the way from Christmas as well. I think we've sold that much stuff and that much clobber's been bought. That they might make a bit of profit.
Listen, them pies, the pie, chips, peas, and gravy that we got at that Legends night was £14.50. It makes a massive profit on £14.50. But yeah, I mean, somebody put no to Jones. You wouldn't sign. We're talking. Oh, sorry, it's Callum.
Callum. Yeah, Callum's gone. Bless him, young lad. Good luck to him, but he's
not young anymore.
Yeah.
He's 24.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a young youngish man. He's older than me.
Look, I think we're looking at here. Callum Yam will stay because he's been around the first team now. Cynic, Tatty Bye.
Goodbye. Good riddance. 35 grand a week
politely-
down the bin.
Yeah, politely fuck off and we never want to see you again.
Well said, Joe.
I doubt we'll need to keep Finn Burns, if I'm honest.
No. Well, he's not played, has he? So
Zane Myers will keep around, and I think Fozzie will go just because we've got Archie Howard and Callum Yam's been around the first team a lot. That leaves Gellart, Barry, Amrabat, and Zambrano. And I said earlier, I think Zambrano will stay.
Yeah.
Gellart is going to be too much for us, I think, is the problem there. And, has he done enough to say that we'd keep him? He's been. Listen, if you'd have asked me 7 games ago, I'd have said keep him. But at the moment, he just hasn't done enough in these last few games in the goal scoring contributions. In which on Saturday's game he could have had 2.
Would you take him on loan? Would you be happy with
Yeah,
him
I'd take
as
him
a
on loan
player?
again. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. I think.
Well, look at who we've got coming back in as well.
Mm. Let's go through every of these players then. Amrabat, I think, if you take sentiment or emotion out of the Amrabat and Pedro contracts, I think with the financial situation we're in, they're not getting any younger. So
can I just say on that, Nathaniel, wouldn't both of those be good to have around the building to help if there was cheap enough to help bring the youngsters on? Because when Amrabat was on the field, his direction of telling people where to go, where to put the ball, and all those things, it was really good. And Pedro's obviously the top scorer this season. He has got something about him. He's just lost a little bit of his legs, hasn't he? So again, I think he'd be great to help coach some of the younger players that we've got.
I don't know if his personality is like that. Amrabat, I would.
If getting rid of those 2 meant we had enough wages to get an actual decent striker in, I'd rather that.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I don't disagree with that.
I like Pedro, but I was talking to my uncle on that about it when we were watching the game. I don't think. I think if I was manager or owner, whoever's decision is to keep him, I'd probably let him go. He's a good player, but 6 goals for the entire season probably isn't that great when you look back at it. But it's more than his goals. I know it's that, but he shouldn't be our number 1 striker. Do you know what I mean? So,
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
He needs to be back up to a decent forward. I think we should just do a straightforward swap with Plymouth. We'll give them Joseph and we'll take Hardy. Ryan Hardy won't really play next season.
Is Pedro on 30 grand a week?
Google.
I don't think he's on that much.
Google says 16.
Yeah.
But Google's always right.
Google. It won't be cheap. And a big thing we've not spoken about yet is, and it's been mentioned in chat, what happens with people who we've loaned out. So you're looking there at the players that are out on loan at the moment.
It depends on who the manager is, of course. Giles, for example, new manager, that's a different situation, isn't it? Go on, Joe.
Ryan Giles, Marvin Malem, Abda Sherma, Xavier Simons, Andy Smith, Anthony Rachopi.
Yeah, Enshep right in there with Amur, get rid He was
I
ready to
think
go
the
with
only
that
one of those that we'd want to keep would be Salmon's.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I think Simon's was actually quite good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why we let him go out on loan. I was saying this, a couple of days ago. I don't know why we let Simons go out on loan, to be quite honest with you, because he started the season quite well, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
When we'd got him back, he looked a little bit of a different player to what we'd let go out on loan before.
If you still had him and then Mataza gets injured, then Simons comes straight back in, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
See, we are agreeing on a couple of things, Nathaniel.
Oh, no, I mean, I know you're not doing it on purpose. I mean, and you joked that we brought AD on just for the clicks, but I think we had more views last week.
Well, going back to loanees, I think Malam's time here is done.
Yeah,
he's done well at Paderborn. I'd be surprised if they didn't sign him.
Yeah,
Paderborn
well,
was signed.
considering there was a buy option in there, Malam will go to Paderborn. I'm sure of it.
Top Assister 2024, we'll always have that. 3.
Yeah, and Bedia finishes our 4th top scorer, and I've been here for 6 months.
Yes.
Own goal was 3rd. Own goal 3rd with 4 goals.
Ryan Giles, I think we need to shift him. Whether we do or not is a different matter.
Somebody put on Twitter earlier that Middlesbrough fans want to keep him.
Yeah, they still want to sign him apparently, but
jeez,
they can do for me.
Yeah, they can do for me too.
I'll drive him.
They've all been kicked in the head by the same horse.
James Furlong to come back to us, Joe.
James Furlong is to come back to us. Yes, I forgot about that one.
And could he work under a new manager?
Well, I think he would have worked under Rosinha if given long enough.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think Furlong looked probably the most competent out the left backs that we had in that season.
Yeah. Well, interesting. In his one game.
Yeah, it did look, quite. I thought it looked all right, and I was lost as to why he didn't get a game before that, to be honest.
Then, I think if we go back through, Omer, although he's not played hardly anything for Gaika Rizzaspor, I think he'll be off. Anthony Rachopi, as far as I'm aware, hasn't yet made his debut for Kelm. So
he came here to be on our bench, then went on loan to go be on the bench. Poor lad. We've absolutely screwed him, haven't we? That Rushworth signing has absolutely ruined him.
No, he's not played for Köln. He's played for Köln's academy team in the 3rd division.
He's gone from Champions League to playing for someone's reserve team.
No, that's the Regionalliga, which might even be the 4th division.
No, that's the.
But you've got to say, that in that, if you'd have had Ivo Pandor in pre-season form, he'd have probably got a game, wouldn't he? Yeah, but because Ivo Pandor did so well,
that's
starting
a while
off,
ago, yeah. I'd forgotten how bad he was.
Chance.
You're right, AD. I'd forgotten how bad he was. He was shocking, wasn't he? He's been, everyone here, the player of the season, event got cancelled. Player of the season by a mile.
Yeah. And but he was really bad in pre-season. So had he have done that in the games of the start of the season, then I think Rachopi had got in the team, because obviously there was the injury to Rushworth at that point, wasn't he? So I think it's one of them where he's been unlucky due to the form of Ivo Pandor.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not complaining. He's on a massive wage. For me, Rachopi, you don't let him back in the training ground.
He's first on the chopping block, isn't he?
On the
game. You choppy him, don't you?
Yeah,
very good for chopping block. Yeah.
We've got. I think there's an argument to say we still need a
good backup, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's an argument to say we still do need a better backup keeper, because Loftus-Cheek hasn't played for us yet. And when Ivo Panda went down at the end of that first half, I was jokingly going to my dad and my mate who was with me. Oh, love to Tyler.
He's got vibes, though, doesn't he? He's got vibes.
I think if I was, watching it on the TV, Pandor only went down because we needed to get some messages into the players. There was nothing at all wrong with him, I didn't think.
So there's an argument to say, because Timothy hasn't yet made his debut for us, that we could do with a better backup goalkeeper. which is a perfectly fine and fair argument to make.
I
But
think
personally don't think we'll waste money.
the finances necessitate sacrifices, and Richoppy wouldn't really be missed. I think, he's one player you have to sell. And it's about the wages as well, financially, in terms of the fee, because of the sell-on fee for Trabzonspor. Amar, we wouldn't get much money for, but you just need that wage bill down, don't you?
Yeah, massively.
I'm just worried that we're talking about goalkeepers again, because look, I can't go through what we had at the beginning of last season of we're getting this goalkeeper, and
sorry, Christian, but
it's a striker.
You're gonna have to get used to it. I reckon this is what we do.
I can't do it. I can't do the goalkeeper malarkey again. Look, I want to focus on a striker, left back, potentially a right back, and then build from that.
Is the worry for the new season then, talking to all you and people, obviously tonight coming on and commenting, is the worry that we haven't got enough money for a striker for the new season, and therefore next season becomes as big a problem as we've just had?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You need goal scorers. I mean, I think it's quite interesting. I'm going to go on some stats here and shut me up if you want. We don't care about the Premier League, but in terms of the EFL, in the Championship, it's the lowest total for the top scorer in the whole league. I mean, for about 10, 12 years. Same, it's about 5 years. It was Joe Perot on 19. You had Sargent on 15. But basically, in terms of Championship teams getting a top goal scorer, a big...
Yeah, I think very few of the top scorers were actually number 9s as well, weren't they? The most wingers.
I see. Had Borja Sainz at Norwich, for example, in the second.
Borja Sainz, he should have romped that. He should have had about 40.
He only scored like 4 in the last 6 months, did he?
Yeah.
So after he sparked someone, he went right off the boil.
Perot got 19 and he scored 4 against Stoke last week. You've got Sargent, who's been injured, who's got 15, and he'll be off to a Premier League club. I reckon he's quite good. Tommy Conway, who we wanted to sign in the summer, he's only got 13. So, compared to when Mitrovic was scoring over 40 goals a few years ago, in terms of strikers that score a lot of goals, there aren't really many. So if we can take a punt on a Hardy, or I would go, he's average, but he's relatively reliable. Emil Rees from Preston, I think, is supposed to be available. I know some people saying about Osmajic. We just need someone who gets 10, not the racist biter. Someone who's equally as good as him, but not the racist biter Osmajic.
Yeah, but doesn't come with the baggage of being a cannibal and a racist.
Yes. I think.
But he's not both.
Hardy's the one we need to go for. I think he fits the exact bill of what we need. And I'd also be partial to Adebayo from Luton. I know they've had a poor year. Yeah. I won't touch Morris with a barge pull. I think he looked absolutely shot this season.
Salek from Cardiff has done well since going in there.
Yeah. The only decent player at Cardiff is Callum Robinson, and you still won't really touch him.
Cardiff had Will Alves on loan from Leicester in the number 10 position. And if we can't afford to buy Joffrey, I'd go in for him on loan, unless Leicester get a transfer and bad going after playing.
The problem is, Harry, in what you're saying there, you get somebody on loan, and then unfortunately you lose them the next season. The same as we did with Delap. We absolutely increased his value. He's now talking about going for £150,000 a week somewhere, and it all started at Hull City last season.
Dan in chat, I saw your comment about Lotta Tyler. No, that was David Robson who played that game at Bradford in the Carabao Cup. And Oscar Zambrano isn't an alleged drug cheat anymore. The Court of Arbitration have confirmed it.
That's true. Yeah, we've had a few wrong-uns over the years, haven't we? But I think it is interesting that, and it's the whole EFL in League 1 and 2, it's actually the lowest top goal scorer in 5 years as well. Interesting that this year, for some reason, across the whole EFL, no one's really scoring that many goals. So, and you look at because two teams have signed Tom Cannon this year, and the same amount of money you get for Delap as you do for Stansfield. The market's changed, and it's going to be very difficult to get someone because the competition.
Cannon went for like 13 mil, and I'm sure he scored less than 10 goals all season.
Hasn't he? I think he scored 9 for Stoke
and 1 for United.
Has he even scored for them? Has he scored one?
Yeah, he scored one for United a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
The thing with that stat that you're saying, Nathaniel, as fans, which we all are, of watching football in the Championship, in the League One or League Two, it's a really bad stat, that, isn't it? That it's been the lowest goals scored, because ultimately, as fans, you go to a game to watch your team score goals.
Yeah,
and that's awful.
I don't know whether it's a lower amount of goals scored in terms of the total, but in terms of the strikers, I mean, maybe it's just
it's the style of play. It's because everyone wants to play this boring possession. Don't take a risk. Every single manager wants to play this. Let's keep the ball kind of play. No one takes risks, sticks the ball in the box anymore. No one's creating chances anymore. No one's shooting from 30 yards anymore. It's just one of them where the game's favouring the passes now. It's all about the passing stats, the possession stats, and all that. How many miles covered in a game? The shooting's gone.
Yeah. And it's sad. It's a sad way that we're going, because, ultimately, I've watched some better games over the years where we've probably hooved the ball up and, had a big play to win it and a little one to knock it in the goal. And I've enjoyed them games more than this possession-based football, tippy-tappy, trying to pass it about, and I'm not going to shoot. I'm going to pass it to you so you can shoot. And no, I'm not going to shoot either. So I'm going to pass it to nobody, and then we don't get a shot anyway.
Yeah. Spoken like Sam Allardyce, he would be proud.
That's the MKM, though, isn't it? That's the last 2 years of the MKM.
It is.
Let's finish, though, on a bit of a positive.
Come on, let's do a positive. Come on.
Scored.
Because we've stayed up.
Yes.
And
I didn't honestly think we would. I thought we were gone.
I didn't. No, I thought it was gone as well.
I've been deluding myself all week. I've been saying, we will win. I didn't think that. I'm glad to be proven wrong.
We can put this utterly abysmal season to bed, put it in the archives, and never look at it again unless we want to reminisce about João Pedro. That's all.
I think the best way as well to start next season on a high is if we do this. We keep Sayers in for a bit of stability and let him have the players he wants. Have a nice, quiet transfer window where we only sign a small amount of players that we need. Get rid of the deadwood, i.e. your Cynic and your Abdush or whatever. Start the season on afresh with a team that we actually are happy to see playing. With a manager now who knows he can play some more expansive stuff because he's got players that can actually create things. And just go into next season optimistic, because in the last few home games, our home form, despite, you take the Derby and Luton games out of it, I think we'd only lost 2 of our last 7 at home. So it's starting to prepare. If we can start next season, like say if we get a home game, first game of the season, start with a win, new team, scoring goals again, start on a high. Because I honestly think with Sayers and just in recruiting in the right places, I think next year will be a good year.
Yeah,
let's hope that we can get the fans back that we've had this season, because let's not beat around the bush. Those fans have not had anything great to watch for quite a lot of this season, and they've still come back in the droves. A sellout for the last game of the season at home is absolutely amazing, and well done to all the fans that are coming through. What is nice is going around the city and seeing young kids with Hull City shirts on rather than Liverpool or Man United or anything like that. So, I hope that can continue. And I think that continues if we have a better season and we can play a little bit more attacking football and score a few more goals. We'll actually keep those kids coming through and buying Hull City shirts rather than some Premier League team.
Last positive thing, because we want to end on a positive note, Aidan. I know you've been abused in the comments today. Maybe just an olive branch out. Just give Sayers 10 games.
Listen, as I said, I'm happy to do that. I think that my frustration yesterday, I was frustrated, and that sort of, I suppose, came off me. Because, at the end of it, I was really frustrated that we didn't win that game. And that's what did it for me at the end, is we should have won yesterday. And you then set your thing and you say, right, I'm going to win this game. And I understand why he went defensive at the end. And I agree with you. It was the right thing to do. Can he do something? I hope that he can get a couple of players in, really start the season and kick on. And, as I say, if he finished anything above mid-table, I'd be happy with that next season.
Give him August. Agree on that?
Now we'll be writing it off again.
Yeah.
Well, this is the problem, innit? You know, you've got we're still a lot of players short. Matazo, Miller might be back for the start of the season, I think. But Loomis, I think, is a little bit probably a month into the season, isn't he? It's still really difficult. It's still going to need some players because you can't start this season, the new season, like you've ended last season. That's the problem.
Yeah,
We've
will, of course.
We've got Adjun's communications to come through yet with Humberside and everyone. So let's see what he has to say first.
Wednesday night Tiger Talk is back on your radio and back on the podcast. If there is any breaking news between now and Wednesday, don't worry. We'll be bringing you it. We'll be arguing about it. I'll still be getting slated, which is what I'm here for.
And on our end, we've got a season review with the Aussies that we will do at some point, and then we might end up doing an emergency one at some point if we have another manager sacking we don't really expect, as we did last season. But hopefully we come back in July after the first pre-season game and discuss a few things.
We might as well plug the charity quiz as well, because everything barring like the minor details is pretty much sorted. So if anyone's listening and you're into like your Hull City quizzes and stuff, we're going to do a live charity Hull City quiz at Old Zoological where we charge you to entry. You can have a team of up to 6. We're going to do 5 rounds of 10 questions, 50 Hull City questions. You're going to have us with microphones blabbing in between each time. So it's going to be like a live episode kind of thing, getting all the you lot involved as well. It's just going to be a fun night. We're going to raise money for Hull and East Yorkshire Mind. So any other donations, things like that, there's going to be a collection bucket there, which you put your entry fee into. If you want to put anything extra in, you're more than welcome. There'll be leaflets as well from Mind. They're providing us some T-shirts and some leaflets and stuff. And I believe they're giving us a bottle of fizz to put on the raffle as well. So if you want to come down and try and win some extra prizes as well, there will be prizes for teams. And then any extra prizes will raffle off for people to win. So I believe it's on the 6th of June, and it's looking likely that it's going to be 7 o'clock at obviously in the evening at Old Zoological, to get yourselves down for that.
Friday the 6th of June, in the evening, Old Zoological will have prizes there for you to win. It's going to be a good night. We'll all be there.
Even Adi. So if you want to give Adi pelters live, get yourselves down.
Yeah, come down.
Minimal fee for charity. I might pay just to do that.
First round isn't on me, and I don't know if I'll be driving or not. So I might not be having a drink, but we will.
I can't drive, so I will be.
Nathaniel's already said that he's getting the first round in, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually. I mean, I hadn't, but I was going to say that. So, yeah. Shall we just one last thing? It's been a miserable year. Might be the word I use. Shall we just go around the 5 of us? Can you try and summarize this season in one word, and then we'll wrap this up. So I'll go to you, Joe, first, if you don't mind.
Disaster.
Christian.
Messy.
Ant.
Stressful.
AD.
There.
Yeah, I'd go shit.
The thing is, he's made more sense.
Yeah. I said shit. That's what the season is. I'm sorry for swearing.
You kiss your mother with that mouth.
I know. They don't. My parents are watching downstairs. They won't appreciate that, but it has been.
They won't like me swearing after 20 seconds, then will they?
No, they get one swear word a season, guys, and that used it for them.
Yes. Challenging, frustrating. We've had in the comments. Yeah, shambles. Yes, that's the one. All right. Well, it's been lovely doing these episodes, and of course, we do have one more technically part of this season. But everyone who's listened to the podcast this year, we really appreciate it and putting up with us because at times it has been pretty miserable. But we've got something to look forward to with Championship football next year. So we'll see you for another season and the end of season review pretty soon. Bye for now.